Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. Look, if you've ever found yourself stuck in that infamous Bengaluru traffic, literally inching your way around the Silkboard Junction, just staring at endless brake lights, you're probably wondering, is there any hope on the horizon? Well, that's exactly what we're looking at today. We're doing a total reality check on one of the city's biggest, most ambitious transport lifelines, the Bengaluru Suburban Rail Project, run by K-Ride. We're going to cut through the noise, separate the big promises from what's actually hitting the pavement, and see what's really going on. Okay, let's dive right into this, because honestly, this is the million-dollar question for every single daily commuter out there who is just absolutely desperate for a way out of the gridlock. Is this massive project finally gaining real momentum, or are we just staring down the barrel of more bureaucratic red tape? To figure that out, we really need to look at three things: the latest approvals, where the money's flowing, and the actual dirt being moved on the ground today. Section 1. The 15-kilometer commuter promise. Before we get into the latest breakthroughs, we really need to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what's being attempted here. Just as a quick recap, we're not talking about a little city tram. This is a sprawling, nearly 150-kilometer commuter rail network covering 4 distinct corridors. It's a total regional overhaul. It's being built by K-Ride, the rail infrastructure development company of Karnataka. And what's absolutely crucial to remember is that this is an equal joint venture between the state government and Indian Railways. So yeah, that means a staggering amount of coordination is required every single step of the way. Moving on to Section 2, and honestly, this is the exciting part, the airport link breakthrough. So this is probably the most anticipated update of the year, especially if you've ever had that heart-pounding fear of missing a flight because you're stuck in a jam. Check out this number, 1 lakh. That is how many vehicles are squeezing onto the current airport roads every single day. The pressure on that infrastructure is just immense. But the long-awaited airport rail link has officially been approved to tackle exactly this problem, literally pulling thousands of those cars off the road entirely. And here's the game plan for how they're going to pull it off. Southwestern Railway just officially cleared the alignment for an 8.5-kilometer spur that splits right off the main Sempij corridor near Dadajala. Now, for the first 5.5 kilometers, the train is going to run at surface level, or at grade. But then, as it enters the airport premises, it plunges completely underground for the final 3.5 kilometers. Down there, you're going to have 4 really crucial stations: BK Hawley, KI-80B Aerospace Park, Airport City, and of course, the airport terminal itself. All right, Section 3, big funding and new leadership. Now, obviously, a vision of this magnitude needs some serious financial fuel to get off the drawing board. And what's really interesting here is the massive scale of domestic investment. Indian Railways has officially sanctioned a whopping 4,100 crore rupees. And that money is specifically earmarked just for that crucial airport link we were just talking about. That shows a very real financial commitment to making sure this specific corridor actually happens. But, the funding isn't just coming from inside the country. The wider project has secured some seriously heavy-hitting international backing, too. We're looking at a 500 million euro loan coming in from Germany's KfW Development Bank, which is specifically targeted for corridors 1 and 3. And on top of that, there's another separate 300 million euro loan from the European Investment Bank to help kickstart the early packages of the Sempij line. So, when you add up all these different pieces, the original approved cost for the entire project sits at 15,767 crore rupees. But let's be real. As timelines inevitably stretch out and the scopes adjust, we've seen this massive figure slowly start to creep up. Building a 150-kilometer rail system right through the middle of an established, bustling metropolis was never going to be cheap. And to actually manage all that capital and keep construction moving, K-Ride has shaken up its leadership. In December 2025, Lakshman Singh took charge as the full-time managing director. This was a super strategic move. He's a highly experienced railway engineer, so he brings a ton of technical firepower to the table. The whole idea is that his expertise will help drastically speed up the incredibly complex coordination that has to happen between the state and the national railways. Okay, so we've talked about the massive piles of money and the new boss in charge, but let's take a deep breath, step back, and look at reality. Beyond all those optimistic funding approvals, where does the physical dirt-moving, concrete-pouring construction actually stand right now? Which brings us to Section 4, the ground reality of construction. Let's pull back the curtain here and look at what's literally being built. This side-by-side comparison paints a pretty clear picture. On one hand, you have the Malaysia line, that's Corridor 2, connecting by Panahali to Chikabanavara, and here we're actually seeing tangible results. That line has hit roughly 28% physical progress, which is great. But contrast that with the Kanaka line, Corridor 4, from Hialije to Rajanukante. That one is still in its very, very early stages. They're mostly bogged down with the super tedious but absolutely necessary work of utility relocation. It's not all slow going, though. The engineering teams are employing some pretty brilliant practical strategies to smooth things out. A great example of this is at Bengaluru, where K-Ride is working to directly share infrastructure with Nama Metro. It's a massive win-win. It means they don't have to build redundant, duplicate structures, which obviously saves overall project costs, but it also significantly cuts down on all the construction headaches and detours for locals in that area. Next up, Section 5, the land acquisition hurdle. So, the crucial point here is that despite the smart engineering and all that fresh cash, there is still one giant roadblock standing in the way of the whole shebang: land. Now, to be totally fair, there have been some positive bureaucratic wins lately. Southwestern Railway recently handed over more than 115 acres of railway land specifically for the Kanaka corridor. And in the world of infrastructure, getting physical possession of the dirt you need to build on is a very real step forward. But, and this brilliantly illustrates the sobering reality of the situation, land acquisition remains the single biggest hurdle. Out of the 4 sprawling corridors planned for this entire project, only one has its land fully acquired based on the latest reports. The other 3, they're still stuck navigating this incredibly complex web of trying to acquire the physical space they need. Section 6, the revised 2030 timeline. So how do all these land bottlenecks actually impact the calendar? Well, the harsh reality of trying to buy up land in a densely packed city means that original target date of 2026, yeah, that's completely out the window. The timelines have stretched way out. What we're looking at now is a phased completion strategy. We're expecting certain sections to slowly open up across 2028 and into 2029. And as for that highly anticipated underground airport line, the target for that has been pushed all the way back to March 2030. So there you have it, the real, unfiltered picture of where Bengaluru's suburban rail stands today. The approvals for crucial sections like the airport link are finally coming through. The massive international and domestic funding is locked firmly in place, and you've got this new, technically focused leadership team trying to push the pace. But the physical construction on the ground, especially getting through that land acquisition maze, still has a really long road ahead. Transforming a city of this size is a massive undertaking, so I want to leave you with this final thought. Given the real momentum versus the hurdles we've explored today, when do you realistically think you'll be taking your first ride on Bengaluru's suburban rail? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you on the next one.